Early in the morning,
What's going on, people? It's your boy Cam, Topical Juice, and I'm back with I'm back with Wiley. Wiley cat, Wiley. If you didn't know, Wiley has been back in the news again quite heavily due to some potentially anti-Semitic remarks. It depends on what side of the fence you fall on. What he said, some of the things he's come out with are outlandish and just a bit ignorant and a bit immature. Now, I'm gonna give my opinion on Wiley and what he said and things like that, but you know, I understand. It's funny because I understand where he's coming from, but he's wrong in the way he's articulated it. Basically, he's very immature and he's kind of slandered all Jewish people with the kind of same brush and this, that, and it's all very weird. But if you haven't seen my old Wiley video I made a few months ago talking about has he damaged his legacy following the whole Stormzy beef, things like that, be sure to check that one out. I'll leave that one in the description below. But without further ado, I'm gonna get into this video. Before I do that though, please support the channel by smashing the thumbs up, hitting the subscribe button for me, and hitting the bell to be notified. Guys, as it stands right now, as I'm filming this right now, I think I'm on 997. Am I on 997? 997. So listen, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm literally, it's mad. So diving into the topic today, should Wiley have been banned from Twitter? Now, he's not just banned from Twitter, by the way. He's banned from most social medias. I think he's banned from Facebook and he's banned from Instagram, I believe. I know Twitter was the recent one. I've been sitting on this video for a minute because I didn't really know if I was going to do it or not. I wanted to make sure that I understood the full story and things like that. If you haven't seen, Wiley was tweeting kind of some wild things the other day. Now, I'm not going to read all his tweets out and things like that. I'm sure you can Google it and go on Twitter, you can find it yourself. However, the general theme of what he was saying was that Jewish people run the world, basically, and Jewish people are in positions of power, especially in the music industry. And as a consequence of that, black artists will become slaves to these Jewish people that run these music organizations, things like that, and they don't really understand business, and these Jewish people are making all the money from these black artists and things like that. So that's kind of the general theme. But then he was also bashing Jews, to be honest. He was bashing the Jewish community, sorry, where he was saying, he was likening and comparing the Jewish community to the KKK. In his rant, he was also saying things like, the Jewish community, you think you're too big for your boots, I'm sick of you. I don't agree with what he's saying there. Comparing the Jewish community to KKK is just silly, ridiculous, and it's just ignorant. Saying that you're sick of Jewish people and things like that because they're getting too big is just ridiculous. Now, what he's saying, I'm personally torn in between. I'm torn in the middle, and what I mean by that is I'm not anti-Semitic. It's nothing like that. My issue with Wiley, wholeheartedly, is in how he said it and the ignorance in what he said, laced with some truth. Now, the truth part of what he said, in my opinion, is that black artists make a lot of money for the music industry and music record labels, and a lot of time these black artists aren't kind of educated enough or aren't clued up enough to understand the type of contracts that they're getting themselves into, understand how business works. You really need a strong team around you, in my opinion. You need people that you can trust, people that are professional, your friends, whoever it is, good advice, where you can then go into these business meetings, you can go into these industries knowing that you've got certain rights, you've got certain expectations. That's the element of what Wiley's saying that I agree with, in the sense that a lot of these people don't really know that they don't really understand what they're getting themselves into, and it's the record label, the producers or the senior executives at these the high level people in these record labels are the ones that are kind of creaming off the top. They look at these black artists as piggy banks. I do agree with that. Where I do disagree with Wiley wholeheartedly is the fact that he's saying that that's just Jewish people, that's all Jewish people, and the Jewish community are guilty of using black people for their own growth, things like that. I personally think that's ridiculous, because, like, for example, not all record labels are run by the Jewish community. I don't understand how you can paint an entire Jewish community with that brush. It's ridiculous. If you've got an issue, speak your issue to the actual industries themselves, the specific music labels, whatnot, and things like that. Now, He also got in trouble for making points like, oh, you know, if you come at someone who's Jewish, the Jewish community will come at you, you'll get fired, you know, basically saying that people can't really talk bad about Jewish people without serious consequences. Again, I think that's a very ignorant comment, because there's elements of truth, but it's ignorant, because the truth, what I mean by the truth is that what he should say, or what he meant to say, is that the Jewish community sticks together. They keep their business in-house, which is really good. They do their business within their own community. They build the community up. That's my perception of the Jewish community. It's often, like a lot of the Asian communities, often in-house, in family. Okay, now that's a good way to consolidate wealth. It's a good way to consolidate power. I don't see anything wrong with that. But yeah, the way Wiley's kind of said it, and he's saying it with like a negative brush, like, oh, you can't come for Jewish people because they'll come for you, and blah blah. Like, do you understand the difference between the way I think and the way Wiley thinks? For example, I'm not saying I'm right and he's wrong, but it's just a difference of opinion. He's not wrong, but like, there's ways of going about saying things, because he is wrong in a sense that of the way he's just ignorant. It's an ignorant thing to say, because clearly there's going to be Jewish community, there's going to be all types of people in the Jewish community, the same way there's loads of different people in the black community, the same way there's different people in the white community, in the Asian community. Everyone's different, like everyone has different, it's just different. There's good and bad in every race. I don't understand how you can paint the brush, you know, paint everyone with the same brush. But obviously the topic of the video is, should he have been banned? Again, I'm really torn on this, because I think yes or no. I believe he should have been banned, but later down the line, personally, I believe he should have been given warning chances. I believe he should have been given an extended period of time to acknowledge what he said was as offensive, for example. You know, it's his opinion, but at the end of the day, it offended a lot of people, it offended the community. He should be given a chance to say, oh, okay, I was wrong, I was ignorant for this, you know, forgive me. People keep coming to this freedom of speech. Now, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe that people should have the right to say their opinion. However, freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence, freedom without consequence, or however you want to say it. Like, you can say what you want in this world, you can. But unfortunately, we live in a world where there will be consequences, and certain people are held accountable. You can't really, there's no room for ignorance no more. Now, Wiley's mentality here is my mentality when I was like 15 years old. You know, when you're in bed and you're young, you know, I'm speaking to the men in the audience, to be fair, because I don't really know a lot of women personally. I don't know a lot of women that had this interest, but you know, a lot of man that I knew growing up, we were obsessed with like the Illuminati, and we were obsessed with like the secret societies that ruled the world. I used to research honestly until the early morning, until the sun came up, like the Rothschilds and like the Jewish banks and stuff, and how they own a lot of the world's wealth and things like that, blah blah blah. So like, that's what Wiley's coming with, that conspiracy theory flex. Like, you do have to do better than that, because at the end of the day, like, you can't just say like all Jews are rich and all Jews are this and Jewish people this, because that's just ridiculous. Because that's literally the same that I would hate that if you say, oh, blacks this, oh, blacks always killing each other, oh, blacks this. You can't do that. You can't brandish a whole race or a whole culture, whatever, and with one brush. You just can't. You literally just can't. The only thing that makes them similar is their skin or whatever, or the community. It doesn't mean they think the same or have the life experience to say. So, returning back to the point I'm trying to make is that I believe Wiley shouldn't have been banned as soon as he did. I believe that there should have been a period of time where he was able to explain himself and things like that. And the only reason I say that, yeah, is because, and you guys have heard this point many a times before over the last 48 hours, I'm sure, if you've been on social media, is that Katie Hopkins, yeah, and Tommy Robinson have been spewing nasty, bigoted, racist and pure hatred on social media for years. And Twitter came out and apologized to the culture, apologized to the world and said, we're sorry for not reacting to Wiley things sooner, we're sorry, we've banned him now, so we're sorry we reacted late. They said that, they came out and made an official statement, we're sorry. Where was the same energy for Katie Hopkins? Where was the energy for her? She, honestly, her account should have been suspended the moment she tweeted her first tweet. And this is where, you know, you have to keep the energy. There's no consistency in this world. That's what I've realized in 2020 now, all this race stuff and people are getting more empowered, you know. There's no consistency in this world. you know, one race will say this and do this, and one race will say this and do this, and then there'll be a rule for one race and a rule for another culture, and there's no consistency. You know, why was Wiley not given the same freedom, shall we say, to speak anti-Semitic? Now, I'm not, again, I don't believe that social media is there's no place, there's no room for anti-Semitism, racism, like sexism. There's no room for it. It needs to go. It needs to go, plain and simple. But I just don't understand how you've got some people who are really able to, Trump, he is able to tweet horrific things, real ignorant things, but this poor old Wiley from East London, 41-year-old, he comes out and says what he says it in the wrong way, do not get it twisted, he said it in the wrong way, but there's elements of truth to what he's saying, but yet we end up in a situation where, you know, the world's gone, UK's gone upside down, and he's now kind of public enemy #1. Again, I've got no time for Wiley. Well, I've got a little time for Wiley, but barely any time for Wiley. I'm not a fan of Wiley's. Like, you know, I grew up listening to him a little bit, but you know, I wouldn't say I consider me a fan. So I don't listen to his music at all, really. So I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not gonna be biased. But I just think from a neutral, I do agree to an extent that black people, you know, the black artists that these corporations bring in are money-making machines for a lot of people, and they don't understand what they're getting themselves into, almost selling their soul. But what's that? I'm not gonna go from there to then brandish all Jewish people the same, as in that I don't even know how many Jewish people own the record labels and things like that, so I can't speak on that. I just know that black people a lot of the time don't know what they're getting themselves into. But that being said, Wiley just needs to do better with and articulate his point a bit better, you know, in my opinion, because you can't just generalize with ignorant comments like that. It's unfair to a community, because they wouldn't like it if, or he wouldn't like it if we were brandishing black people the same. But that being said, like I said, there's real elements of truth to what he's saying. I just think he could have articulated it better. But that's my opinion on the day. I really hope you enjoyed the video today. Keep smashing that like button for me. It means the world. It's gonna grow the channel. You're gonna come to the top with me. You know, when I eat, we all eat. So let's keep growing the community. Thank you for sticking by, and I'll see you at the next video. Peace.